Whether you're a cat lover or a dog lover, we can all agree that all animals should be treated humanely. But unfortunately, not all animals are. Every day, cats and dogs are abused, abandoned, or left out on the street to fend for themselves, or worse. Today, I'm talking to Ronnie Vostinak, Executive Director of Homeward Bound Pets Humane Society, which is Oregon's first no-kill animal shelter. Homeward Bound takes in these animals that have been neglected and abused and cares for them until they are taken in by a new family. In this episode, we'll cover how Homeward Bound Pets got started, why there is a need for shelters like this, and also some exciting new plans for Homeward Bound. Hi, I'm Daniel Roberts. I'm a local realtor here in Newburgh, and I'm a member of the Newburgh Noon Rotary Club. I'm also an ambassador for our local Chamber of Commerce, and I also have a separate YouTube channel about real estate-related aspects of this town. Bottom line is, I love this town. I love helping people move here. I love helping people buy and sell real estate here. But one of the things I really love is sharing about all of the great organizations and individuals who make this town the great place that it is. And that's really the heart and soul of this podcast, to share stories of hope and generosity in Newburgh and the surrounding area. And the goal is to help people get inspired, get involved, and ultimately have hope for our future. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Ronnie as we discuss Homeward Bound Pets Humane Society. Well, Ronnie, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to hearing about your experience with Homeward Bound Pets and also learning more about this resource and really benefit for our community and what you guys do.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. So just starting out from the beginning, can you share about Homeward Bound Pets, what it is, how it got started, and then ultimately how you got involved?
Sure. So our amazing founder, Julie Juleson, started Homeward Bound Pets from her garage back in 1975. She had been talking to the folks that at the time ran dog control. And there were 3 puppies. And the gentleman told her if she'd take all 3, she could have them for free because they were going to be euthanized. So she did. And then someone...
And so she was talking to the person from...
The dog control.
So they go and find stray dogs and...
Bring them in,
okay.
Yeah. And then somebody, a friend of hers said, you should start a humane society. And she opened Oregon's first no-kill shelter 48 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the first no-kill shelter, so 48 years in 75. So before then, were all shelters just, they'd take them in and just euthanize the animals?
In Oregon, yeah.
Wow.
What happens is they would, for space, only so many kennels and places you can put them, and more were coming in. So those shelters have to choose day to day who stays and who doesn't.
Wow.
And Julie said there's got to be a better way that we can help. And so that's when this idea happened. And now we are called Homeward Bound Pets Humane Society. That was part of her will when she passed away in 2017. And we are not connected with the big humane societies in any way. We don't get their millions of dollars, but that is our official name now.
Okay. So what, in a nutshell, and I think I kind of understand, but what in a nutshell does Homeward Bound Pets Humane Society do?
Okay. Well, I started in November 2016, and I started working with the police department and the sheriff's department. We've had contracts since 2017 with kenneling lost dogs in Meow County, but they only take so many kennels, and so when they're filled, they're filled. And then we only have so many kennels, so when we're full, we're full.
Right.
So we bring in the lost, throwaway, injured dogs and cats. The dogs are through the contract, but then the cats as well. We only have so much space, and we could use 10 times more space.
Wow.
There is a crisis in our country and in our state, and Homeward Bound does not ship in from out of state. We help our county, Yamhill County.
So, how does that work then? If you've got, you could have 10 times the capacity, you've got all these stray dogs, which we can kind of come from, we can talk about where they're coming from.
And cats.
And cats, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. So what happens then if you're no-kill shelter, but you've got it sounds like at capacity to normally I don't know if you ever go over. It sounds like you only have a limited amount of shelters. What happens when you have full capacity and there's more trying to come in?
My shelter manager gets about 100 calls a week and probably 50 emails every week. We have for years, people wanting a place for their pets that they don't want anymore or they can't keep. And if we're full, then we give them other places to call. But guess what? They're awful. It is a crisis, and it's a tough one.
Yeah.
And so we are doing our very best to help as many animals as we can. We have some very sad stories of pets that have come in, because they're being tossed aside. And we have cats that have been found in taped up boxes that have been brought to us. They're hard stories to hear.
Yeah.
We're caring for a kitty right now that had its mouth super glued shut. And I know that people don't like to hear that, but we are doing heavy lifting. We've brought in dogs that have been shot and we have healed them. It is really tough and it takes a toll on my staff. And they come to work every day and they take care of them and they deal with these heartbreaking cases that we get ready for adoption. We spay, neuter, vaccinate, microchip, flea treat. Take care of everybody, even the kitties get microchipped, and get them ready for a home. And so we hope that people will think about us when they're looking, because we can take in more when others find their homes.
Yeah. So basically it sounds like when someone's looking for a pet, they should probably try going to you first, then the pet store or something.
Yes. They can check online. We have all of our adoptable pets online, and you might say, oh gosh, I only see this many cats or this many dogs. But in the wings and intake, ISO, we have animals that were getting healthy. So trust me, we're packed.
Yeah.
But they are, if you don't see them available for adoption, it doesn't mean we don't have a bunch. They're just not ready.
Yeah. So what is, from a price standpoint, I mean, going and buying a dog or cat or whatever can sometimes cost several $100s. Are you guys similar pricing?
No.
So what does it cost for someone to adopt a pet from you?
It varies, but cats can be from 100 to 150, depending if it's an older cat or a kitten. Puppies the same way, and older dogs, it can run from 100, 150. It can, we don't get a lot of puppies that are breed dogs, breed specific. If we do, our adoption fees will be a little bit more for them. But you've got to remember, a free cat's not free. We have them ready to go, dogs and cats, so that you're not trying to find an appointment if you can, because they're booked. Vets are booked months out now trying to get people in for spaying and neutering. Ours are ready to go.
Yeah.
Because we have a spay neuter clinic.
Yeah.
It's Yamhill County's first low-cost spay neuter clinic. We opened in 2017, and we're already booking out to like June and July right now.
Wow.
And then we have feral cat packages, and we will help people with getting the stray cats. We've got cages and kennels we can come out to help trap, and then they can be brought in and have our quit having thousands of kittens by one cat.
Yeah.
And so we're proud, though. We're proud of what we're doing in our community, and our thrift shop helps support our mission.
Okay. And going back to the idea of someone coming in and adopting a pet, a lot of times people, like when I'll go to meet someone's dog or go to their house, they'll say, "Oh, it was a stray," or it was a rescue dog or whatever. So I think sometimes people have in their mind of, oh, well, if I go to an animal shelter and buy this animal, then it's going to be really standoffish or skittish or scared or mean, and I've got kids that I don't want to work with that. Is that a true, is that really what it's like, or is there kind of a whole range?
Right. Well, for the dogs, you must bring your whole family and your pet. So if you have a dog or dogs at home, you make an appointment and they must come with you.
Okay.
And if you want to bring them back 2 or 3 times, you can do that, because we want your pet to make sure that your pet's going to get along with this dog. We'll take you out in the back field, let them run and play, and see if there's that connection. And also for the people, what if there's an animal you want and they just aren't interested?
Yeah.
Our dogs, because they are not owner surrender, most of them, it may take 2 or 3 times for you to come out for them to trust, because we can't ask them what they've been through.
Right.
If we see that a dog is mean, we're not going to take it in. We won't take those dogs in from dog control. If they come in and they're not somebody that we can't send an animal out to the community with a family that we don't trust.
Right.
So then the sheriff has to put them elsewhere. We will not take them in as part of our adoptions.
Okay.
And the kitties, we asked you to come out and visit because you may love a cat and it may not love you.
Which I thought was the case with every cat, but it's actually not true. There are some cats that are, very friendly.
But I have rescue dogs and cats at my house, and I was a foster failure for Homeward Bound. I brought on a little dog that was found on the streets of McMinnville several years ago. She was very, very sick, needed surgery. We didn't know if she'd survive. And so I fostered her, and then she fell in love with me and adopted me. and she's the sweetest thing you've ever met. And so it's just, like any child or someone that's lost a family, you've got to be patient. And if you don't have patience to love and care for this pet you're bringing in, it's not going to just come in and be, hey, I've got a new home. They're going to be afraid, and they're going to need your time and your love caring for them so that they feel comfortable in your home. Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It sounds like there are a lot of, it's kind of like dealing with abuse, just with an animal, which, is interesting thinking about. Obviously no kind of abuse is ever okay, but with an animal who, dogs are the most loving, sometimes they can be frustrating, but I mean, like,
no, my dogs are never frustrating.
But at the same time, it just, it feels like, I imagine when you're in the middle of that, you see all these stories, like, how could someone do that? I mean, they're just messed up people.
It's very difficult on my staff, and because they're dealing with these animals that have been often, many of them, throwaways. And so they have to get them to trust them, and they love them. They're out in the field playing with the dogs and throwing balls every day. And we have people that volunteer to come in and socialize with the kitties. And so that, they know what it's like to be loved by people. And we couldn't do what we do without all of our volunteers.
Yeah. So do you find from the time an animal comes in, whether they were tossed out on the street or whatever the situation was, from the time that they go through your process and are ready to be adopted, do you see pretty big changes in the animals and how they respond to people and being around people, or does that take much longer?
It depends. Like, some dogs stay with us for a long time because they're just not ready. And so we had one dog that was with us for a year, and that is never our goal. We're not a sanctuary where you come and live forever, but it wasn't ready. And the day that I got a call from my staff and say, guess what? We're out in the field and she rolled over and let us rub her belly. We're like, okay, she's trusting now. That is for a dog to let you in like that. We also have partnered with Marvin Pierce. He's a dog trainer here in Newburgh, and he takes one dog at a time from us. He takes our hardest ones and takes them in and trains and works with them. And then he's got his whole group of people that follow him. And we've adopted out in the last few months, I think 3 dogs for him. Okay. He's got one right now. And so he's been a great partner.
That's awesome.
And he just does it from the goodness of his heart and helps out.
So, and I was curious, going back to the question about, so everyone's full, right? So someone brings in a dog, you're full, you call around, everyone else is full. What happens?
That's the $60 million question.
Yeah.
If they're loose and they end up at a shelter somewhere in Oregon, just because you put your dog out and there's some no-kill shelters, if we're full, it's not going to come to us. Yeah. So people need to think about that if it ends up at a regular shelter, that is not no-kill, then
it often gets euthanized.
And I've been in those shelters before. It's hard. Or they're just running the streets. Can you imagine not having Homeward Bound and these animals were simply just running loose? It'd be crazy.
So then what often happens, it sounds like, is they, there's the animal control, they catch them, everyone's full and they get put down.
Well, they will try to place them elsewhere. And then there's sometimes people in the community will find one and they will post out on social media if we're full, and people will hold on to them and try to find their home. But many times people are tossing these animals out and they don't want to be found.
Right.
that's, what people need to understand is this is truly a crisis.
So why are we in this crisis? Has something changed, or has that always been this way and it's just gotten worse?
Well, back when I first started with Homeward Bound, we didn't have this happening. And it started, probably the worst time was around 2020 when the COVID pandemic happened. And it isn't, people will say, oh, well, it was people got puppies and kitties. And right now, a lot of these are not. I wish we could get puppies because we could adopt them out. But we're getting middle-sized to large dogs that haven't been spayed or neutered and they haven't been socialized with. Could it be that people adopted during that time? It could very well be. We're guessing, but then a lot of the animals just were not even socialized. So they come in and they didn't have any of those skills on how to love people and be with other animals, and they were never spayed and neutered, so probably not vaccinated.
Yeah.
And
you can't tell whether a dog's been vaccinated, right?
No.
It's not like, hey, list up your immunization schedule.
You've missed those immunity. Yeah.
I'm anti-vax. No,
right. And so, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard because you can't ask them, where have you been? What's happened?
Yeah.
And, and then when the staff gets them in, they're trying to figure out, how are they with men? How are they with women? How are they with kids? How are they with other dogs? You figure that out real quick. And let's face it, coming to a shelter is scary. The other dogs are barking, they're loud, and the new dogs that come in are afraid, because it is loud. And then they have to, can I trust this human? Is this human going to take care of me? Are they going to hurt me? You can't sit down and just talk to them. So I've had staff that have just literally day after day sat in a kennel with a dog to try to gain its trust.
Yeah. Day
after day, because the dog literally shut down. Literally just went in a corner and just cries. And so my staff will these are the things that people don't see. We'll literally go in and sit with them after all the cleaning and feeding is done for the day and all the bowls are cleaned and cat boxes are cleaned, and and they'll spend time with them trying to gain their trust and let them know that it's safe. And so there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
And that kind of leads to my next question about what makes Homeward Bound Pets unique compared to other shelters. It sounds like, one, you guys really care.
Yeah.
What are some other ways that separates you?
Well, the fact that we work our county. We work Yamhill County. And that's all the county. Last year, Denise Bacon, who has passed away, but she and I were friends, and we set up and did a free vaccine clinic in Newburgh. We did 2 of them. And we worked with Rotary and with the high school kids, and my vet came in and she did all the vaccines and the healthy welfare check, on the dogs and cats. And we had a grant from Petco at the time, and so we were able to give the vaccines at no cost, because Rotary had said, oh, well, we'll pick up some of the costs, and we're like, most of it we can cover. And so we work all over our county, and we love what we do, and we're not going to ship in from out of state. It would be easy for us to be a boutique shelter and ship in little cute puppies and little kitties from other states, but we feel like we owe our community to do just what we're doing. Yeah. It means animals are staying longer with us, so it's more expensive because dogs are staying longer. It's taking more time to get them ready to go. The kittens go pretty quick, but then we have older cats that take longer. We're just not going to change how we do business, and our donors, I think, appreciate that and want to help us continue to help our county. Yeah.
Well, I think there's something special about, one, you're at capacity just with animals in Yamhill County. So there's really not the need for that. But I think, that's part of one of the things with this podcast is you guys do work right here in Yamhill County and Newburgh and all the surrounding areas. And I think that is really special and important because obviously there's the need. There's a need. Yeah. So one of the other things I was curious about, because you mentioned before your thrift shop. So how does that work, and when did that get started? That started, before around 2011. Okay. And we sit behind J&W Carstar on Lafayette Avenue in McMinnville. Okay.
And so we have our thrift shop, and then we also have online stores. And so you can go to our website and find those. So we have all kinds of items. We ship all over the world, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we ship right from our little store. It's like a closet in the back where my person works. I need a bigger store, but it's very expensive. So we haven't been able to move. But yeah, we have a great thrift shop, and we don't have room for furniture items. It's not big enough. Mm-hmm. But we've got some really special stuff in there. And I dare you to go in and not find something you want, because I stop in every other couple weeks to see staff and everybody, and I'm like, no, don't look. Don't look, because I always find something I want to buy.
Yeah.
And so it helps support our mission, and we're leading up to now with our capital campaign. So
yeah, and on that note, so speaking of not having room, you're expanding, and obviously there's a lot to that. So can you tell me a little bit about this expansion coming up?
Yeah. So our 2 old catteries.
Much needed expansion, by the way.
I've already put tents out around the property. So our original cattery was a 1930s farmhouse. And in 1980, when Julie bought the property that we're still on, that became our biggest cattery. So for 40 years, I closed it in 2020. And then the original one, then a smaller building, which was a chicken coop, got rebuilt into a smaller cattery. They're not safe anymore. I've closed them. And so, which is really hard, because then it's taken our ability to have cats way down in numbers till we get a new shelter. Mm-hmm. But it became a point of where I couldn't trust the buildings anymore. So April 8th, after 3 years, I've talked to the McMinnville Police or Fire Department. April 8th is a burn and learn. Okay. And so they will be coming out. The shelter will be closed. No, you can't come on the grounds. Don't call me because Homeward Bound's on fire. I know. So they will be burning down those 2 catteries on April 8th.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, let's see. We're recording this on March 28th.
Yep.
This is going to release in 2 weeks. So if you're listening to this, it might have already happened.
Okay.
So, but hopefully you've got a chance to see that. And hopefully
the reason we're doing that is it will all, besides the fact that McMinnville Fire Department can train, which when I talked to the fire chief about 3 years ago, I was like, that'd be kind of a cool thing. And now what I'm finding out is it's going to save us thousands of dollars in cleanup when the contractor comes in to clean up the mess that's left behind versus tearing everything down and hauling it away.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we've, in October and November, we got our new water line in from Highway 18 down Loop Road. Our fire hydrants are in. We're getting these buildings down. I started working with Bruce Kenny in 2019. He is a architect that I originally just talked to and said, what does it cost to hire an architect? Because I need a new building. And he's doing it pro bono. So he hasn't charged me at all. Wow. He's been hours and hours and hours of work over the years.
That's huge.
Yeah. TerraCalc Survey has taken us on as a passion project. They have put a ton of time in to helping us with all the survey needs that have been needed. So the new water line is in. Catteries are going down. We are in plan check with the building department in McMinnville. And that I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I thought it'd be great to build a shelter. The hours and hours of design and then all of the pieces that go with that. So we're in plan check. We have been since October, believe it or not. It's just, there's so much. I had no idea. Yeah. And so we're getting closer. Okay. And once we're out of plan check, which I'm hoping will be soon, then we can put it out to bid, the project out to bid. And however, there is money needed to raise the roof on this new building that we need so badly. I brought in construction trailers last year. My staff we're renting those, is working out of those. We've got cages in those for cat ISO, that we're caring for the cats in that. I brought in 2 little buildings that I had built and brought into the back of the property last year that everybody keeps calling and asking if I'm starting a tiny home village back there. There are little tiny free roam catteries, actually. Every guy that walks in asks, well, will you eventually sell these? Because these would make a perfect man cave. It's so funny. We had to hook up power poles and hook up power to all of this. But we've raised $2.4 million before the campaign even starts. Wow. And we launch it on April 20th and are asking folks if they're interested in coming to breakfast for an hour and learning what our needs are and what we're doing and want to help us raise money at this, they can contact us at development@hbpets.org.
Okay.
And
I'll have that in the show notes.
Okay.
Development@hbpets.org. Okay.
And reach out to RSVP because you need to RSVP. But I see the finish line.
Yeah.
I see it. And it's so exciting to know that it's happening. We needed this 20 years ago. Yeah. So it's very exciting.
So what is the new building going to look like? What's the capacity going to be compared to what it is now?
It's just under 9,300 square feet. We can only build in the front of our acre because our drain field is in the back. So we can't build back there. Okay. Because everybody goes, why don't you make it bigger? Well, I would.
Codes.
Yeah. And so we will have 20 kennels, dog kennels. 2 of them are isolation kennels. Right now we thank God don't get a lot of sick dogs, but if we had a sick dog, we don't have an ISO area for them.
Wow.
And so we will have 2 isolation kennels. The other will be regular kennels. Some are a little bit smaller, some are a little bigger in case we get a big dog or 2 dogs that are bonded that need to be together, or mom and puppies or whatever. We have different different sizes. And then we have tons of windows. The dog side has roll-up doors for a lot of fresh air when it's nice. And we have skylights going in. And then we have our admin office there. Licensing and redemption services will move from our spay-neuter clinic out there. We then have free roam catteries, lots of windows, and 2 cat ISOs and cat intake. People just don't realize like how much is needed. It's going to be amazing. And I had no idea what it would take just for the HVAC system and so forth. And one of these, it's like building a hospital because none of the air for the people, the cats, the dogs, nothing can.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What am I trying to say?
They can't
come
mix.
together. Yeah, it all has to go out. And so that's been quite a learning experience with the engineer working on that. Yeah. And, but it's going to be a place that our entire community can be really proud of. I'm not overspending and being like, let's do gold plated this and that. The money's going to go on the inside, but it will be beautiful outside, and a place where kids can come and learn about how to take care of pets. I'm saying cat yoga, just saying, because we'll have a nice conference room that can also be used as a place if they want to do dog training. We can do that for another line of income, create that in there with concrete floors that can be mopped. We have meet and greet rooms for the dogs. We've got amazing naming opportunities. So people want to help us and like to see their name up on one of the rooms. We've got all kinds of, and it's all online, hbpets.org. You can go on or come join us for our launch on the 20th. Okay. But we've got the
April 20th. Right. Okay.
But on our website, we have got the naming opportunities. There will be a donor wall in the shelter that will be beautiful and forever. So your name can be on that to show that you were one of the ones that helped Homeward Bound be here another 50 years. We can't sustain renting construction trailers. This building has to go up, and Homeward Bound is a treasure that needs to be here.
Well, it seems like you guys have really touched the hearts of a lot of people too. I think for a lot of people, their pets are kind of like their kids.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I think people see the need, and obviously we have a lot of people who have reached out to donate their services, and you've already raised, you said 2.4, and how much are you hoping to
another
raise total?
2.4.
Okay, so you're already halfway there, and you haven't started your capital campaign.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So is there an estimation of when you think it'll be open and ready? I know it's hard to know the exact date.
Right, that is the $64,000 question. Well, first of all,
the $2.4 million.
Well, I'm hoping at our campaign launch, which you can share this with people. Yeah. I'm hoping that we raise some nice funds on that. Of course, we have to get it through Plan Check, and then we have to get a bid out to know where we're at with how much we have. And I'm hoping after the 20th, that number's going to be a lot higher. And then we just get going. Yeah. And it's a long time coming. We've needed it. Julie would be jumping up and down, I have a feeling. She knew that this was vital, but when I was hired, I knew that we could not sustain in what we have. But it's a lot of work to do this, and I just had to make this happen. Yeah. So, but it's not the Ronnie show. My team is spectacular, and the shelter, the spay neuter clinic, the thrift shop. I mean, like, everybody is remarkable. And our volunteers, I mean, when I say love them, I mean it. Like, I love my crew. They are remarkable. And so they deserve this new building too, along with all the fur kids.
Well, it'll be exciting, I'm sure, for the people who work there to take pride in the place they work too.
Exactly. I know it's a labor of love, but to be able to enjoy the place you're in and for it to be...
They're working out in the weather. I mean, it is truly not fun out there.
Yep.
And 2 years ago, when the state started having inspections where you had to get licensed, we were like, oh boy. And so the first, they come out, we fly, with flying colors, our paperwork is spot on. But the inspector told us the first year, they're like, we can't wait to see you with the new shelter because your animals are so healthy in this.
Yeah.
Where you're at. And we're like, come back, we'll see you when it's built. It's going to be a game changer, and allow us to help more animals. Right now, with the catteries going down, our cat numbers that we can take in is less than half of what we've had before.
Wow.
And so we need to get them adopted so we can bring more in, and so we need the shelter and the space to be able to get back to the numbers that we had before.
Yeah. And so you said eventually you'll have the 20 dog kennels too, and then 2 isolation. What do you have right now?
We have 14.
Okay.
Now,
but it's I'm sure very different.
Very special kennels. Yeah. And we have 3 emergency kennels that are not the greatest, but I turned those into kennels too. They were supposed to be emergency only, and we were actually using them.
Yeah.
Because we just ran out of space and we needed them. So we have our dogs in those. And so they don't have air conditioning, they have fans. They've had it for 48 years, but we're going to give them puppies air conditioning, but more than anything, fresh air also, and good heat and, a safe place.
Well, I think for families coming in to adopt, I think having, obviously you guys take a lot of pride in your work, but for a family coming in to be able to see, oh, this is a really nice place. It kind of, right now your current setup doesn't show the level of care.
It doesn't, and there's a huge level of care there. And so, we can't wait. I had someone meet with me a month ago. They had moved here from Hawaii. And they had always given to the big Humane Society in Hawaii, and they drove out to our shelter. And anyways, they called me and I met them, and they said, wow. And I said, yes, we need a new shelter. And I shared the plans with them, which are online as well, shared what we're doing, and he brought his checkbook out and wrote $20,000 for the building fund.
Wow.
So there are people out there, obviously, because of the money we currently have, that have met with me and said, we need to help you. This has to happen. Yeah. So, but they drove out the shelter and then called me.
Yeah. So obviously giving is a way that people can get involved. What are other ways that people can learn more, get involved?
Yeah, you can foster. You can be a donor. We have Loyal Companions, which is a monthly giving program that I started growing in 2019. We now have 75 Loyal Companions, part of the Cool Kids Club. And they get this really neat window cling for their car. And it could be $10 a month, $5 a month, it could be $100, whatever you can give. I had someone ask me, well, how could $10 a month help? But I said, think if I have 500 of you giving $10 a month. Yeah. So, and this, as we get closer to opening and building the shelter, that line of income is going to be vital. And so, so we have our monthly donors, which we love, that really, and it's growing. It's just doubling every year, and we're so thankful. So that's a good way. You can give to the building fund. You can call me, or you can, if you want to come to this event, development@hbpets.org. You can become a Loyal Companion. If you just want to talk and try to figure out what to give, we also have Leave Your Legacy. So people, when they're doing their estate planning, we've had some estates left to us, which is just like we didn't know it was coming. Yeah. And we've put those to the building fund. And we're just very blessed that people love on us. So,
yeah. So remind me, there's the pause for celebration, right? Yep. Loyal Companion. What? And is there another one?
Well, there's the building capital campaign.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what's on April 20th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pause for Celebration is in September.
Okay.
And that is our annual fundraiser. And so we're looking for really cool auction items. We're looking for sponsors still. We put out huge posters. I mean, they're huge because we want people to see who's our sponsor, Yeah. And it's still virtual. We found that people still love that, We run it for about a week and we've got great stuff. And some very creative things I gave last year. It was a fire pit with all the s'mores fixing and stuff,
fun.
Yeah. And we've had some really neat things. So if people want to give that way to help us with the auction, and also make sure they look for it so that you're purchasing things.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of ways to give, and people can even just go on to our website on contact, find my phone number or email, call me.
Okay.
I am happy to talk to folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ronnie, for all you do, and for Homeward Bound Pets is a super important part for our community. I think a lot goes unseen because there's not a bunch of animals running the streets because you guys are able to help. So, but no, it's really important. I look forward to getting this word out there. So, one thing I wanted to ask is, and I ask everyone, and sometimes I think I forgot a couple of times, but for you, you're involved obviously with a lot of hard stories and things that happen, but given what you do, what gives you hope for the future in Newburgh? And I guess specifically with the pets.
Or Yamaha County or...
Yeah, I mean, just...
Yeah. Hope that people will not adopt unless they intend to keep them forever. And people do care. I mean, I see it with our donors. They do care, and they want to be part of the team. And so that gives me hope. And young people that, we have kids that have little lemonade stands and then come and donate it to Homeward Bound. It's really neat. And so just anybody that wants to step in and help us with fostering or helping at one of our locations, our thrift shop needs help, and our clinic does, and our shelter, and the help and the hand, they reach out and sharing our information on social media, sharing our posts. And I just think that we live in a great community. We really do. It's special out here, and people step up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Giving Town podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with a friend who you think might benefit from hearing it. While more and more people are continuing to hear about this podcast, I still need your help to spread the message about all the people and organizations that make Newburgh so great. Well, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode.